What's up? What's up, America? It's your girl bringing you some news you can use. We are live at the #1 internet radio station, intellectualradio.com. And you know, my hashtag for 2021 is thriving and striving in a pandemic, and hashtag position yourself to prosper on purpose. Position yourself to prosper on purpose. So please do me a favor and share this amazing broadcast. We got some great nuggets we're going to be dropping. My goal today is to inform, entertain, and inspire. We're going to be sharing information, giving introspection, and providing some inspiration. Somebody sent me the definition of a glow getter. A glow getter. That's GLOW-GETTER. Is a driven, busy gal or guy who strives to achieve his or her goals in life while attaining a beautiful glow or handsome swag, both inside and out. I love that. So today's show hopefully will inspire all of us to live our best life during this pandemic. I have a special guest, my big brother, known him for years, and he's embracing us today, and he has a lot of nuggets he's going to be dropping too. So we're going to be discussing at the top of the hour. You know, last week we talked about branding. We talked about if you are working full time and how to transition into entrepreneurship, how to transition your business slowly, but don't quit your day job until you're making that same bank. And even then you might not want to quit. And then we talked about ways places you can leave your business card and have an impact. So today we're going to continue that conversation. We're going to be discussing how do you find what your passion and purpose is? Because I struggled with that probably 20-25 years ago. How do you find what your passion and purpose is? So we're going to dissect that today. And then something that I just started, well, actually I started in March, but I missed a couple of days, but I'm back on track, is your mindset for your morning routine. Do you have a set mindset for your morning routine? Do you have a morning routine? So we're going to talk about that. And last but not least, let's say you have a mentor, you have a coach, or you have someone working with you in making you be a better person, because my philosophy is getting better at being better every single day. So let's say you're growing, but the person in your life, that could be your friend, your family member, your other, your new buddy, your boo, so whatever. You're growing, but that person in your life is not. Your business partner, your friend, your children. What should you do and how should you handle that? So we're going to talk about that. So we're going to take a pause for a cause. We're going to come right back. We have our special guest. You're tuned in to intellectualradio.com, which is an iHeart radio station. And I can guarantee you that we are about to feed your brain. So don't go anywhere. My guest is in the building, and I'm ready for him to drop those nuggets. Back in a moment. That's okay. Can I get these commercials right? Welcome back. You're tuned in to Making Waves with MsDarci'D, broadcasting live right here on intellectualradio.com every Tuesday starting at 12 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. And without further ado, I'm going to have my guest introduce himself to you all.
How you doing? I'm Reginald Hicks. Been knowing Miss Darcy for a long time, and I currently work with Fathers, Family, and Healthy Communities. We are a program that helping fathers, non-custodial fathers, and fathers who are in the home with their children to be better fathers and to help out in the community.
Great. Thank you so much for embracing my platform here today at Intellectual Radio. Before we get started, I do want to ask this question, which I think everybody, this is like the top of the question of the hour. The vaccine. Have you taken the vaccine? If you have, what are your thoughts about the vaccine?
I've taken it. I've got both of my shots at Moderna.
Oh, you had the Moderna. So now the Moderna is like you get one and then another one in 30 days?
No, it's not 30 days. It's 14.
It's 14.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the Pfizer is around the same time, and then you have the Johnson & Johnson, which is one shot, period.
So is there a reason you took that one and not the other one?
Because that's what they had there.
Oh. So look, it wasn't like, okay, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. It's what they had. Right. That's what you got.
Well, I was at Loyola, and they had two. They had Pfizer and Moderna, and when I signed up, they just put me in Moderna, so I didn't even have a choice. They just gave it to me. And I didn't really care.
What was your reaction on the first one?
The reaction was my shoulder was hurting, and then 2 days later, I was extremely fatigued. I went straight to sleep. I slept for like 12 hours.
Really?
And after that, I was fine. And the second one, shoulder was the same, but that same day I was fatigued, and I went straight to sleep. And the next day I was fine. I haven't had anything after that.
Wow. Okay. All right. I want to get it. I'm still a little skeptical. I'm still talking about which one I don't think I would get the Johnson & Johnson just for a number of other reasons. But is there a difference between the one you took and the other one? Do you know?
No, not basically. The Johnson & Johnson only does, I think, about 85%. But with the Moderna and the Pfizer, you are covered. Even your first shot, you're at like 65%.
Oh, really?
Right. And then the second shot, you're like at 90%.
Okay.
And so I took that one because of the work I do with with young children and being around a lot of people. And I really wanted to see my mother. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't transmitting anything towards her while I'm visiting, So I want her to have some more years on this earth before I want to be the one that give it to her,
Right. And I want us all to have some more years on this earth. Now, my other important question, and then we're going to go right into our today's topics about finding your passion and your purpose. Have you been watching a trial?
Every day.
So far, up to yesterday, what are your thoughts?
I think the prosecution is doing an excellent job, and they're breaking down. The most impressive part was the police chief testifying. That was crucial because not many police chiefs testify for the prosecution against one of their own officers. And because he was an African-American man and intelligent, and I like the way they laid his background out. Each 2 years, he was motivated. He was getting a new job every 2 years. He was getting a new position every 2 years, every 2 years, every 2 years. And that falls in what we're talking about today. That guy was motivated to succeed. And so that sets out for me. And the way they handle it by showing the training, he was telling that what he saw was not part of what they actually do.
Absolutely. And I before I heard him testify, another one, I got emotional when the was she a nurse or EMT? The Caucasian lady. And
Yeah,
she was like, well, do your job. And she was there at the scene because they were saying that she wasn't who she said she was just because it was her day off. And then the young man, the martial arts young man, when he testified, and then I think the one that really, besides the police chief, police, was the young girl who she just got so emotional. And she was the one that started recording the video, like actually walking and then started recording. And she was just like, she really wished she could have did more. But and that if I had been there, maybe we would probably feel the same way. But it's almost like, what else could you have done? Because you had all those people there, you had all those cameras, and so my question that I want to know is, where in the video did you fear for your life? Because once he didn't resist arrest that I saw, and I've watched the video, I don't even know how many times. Once you put him in handcuffs and had him kneel, where was the threat? Like, where was the threat? How did they feel they had to do all of that? I don't get it.
Well, it was all in his prejudiced mind. That's what the threat was. And you know, this is just so tragic that it keeps continuing and continuing and continuing. You know, I have a 18-year-old, well, 17-year-old grandson. I'd be concerned about, even though he's not doing anything illegal or anything, but that don't mean I'm concerned for my own safety.
I get
pulled over, you know.
My dad, my brother, my son, all these things that I know. When I think about young men, it doesn't matter what age they are. Look at what happened with the 13-year-old. It doesn't matter what age. And it's almost at a point where this is supposed to be the land of America, the land of free. And it's almost like you have to pretty much go to work, get groceries, get gas, and stay in your house or in your backyard or in your basement, because it's like, it's just not safe. And you can't just not live. You can't be fearful. I was watching the news yesterday. I was just telling the super producer that this lady, her husband was going to celebrate their 7th wedding anniversary. And a guy got road rage, pulled up on the side when the light changed and shot her several times. The husband pulled over. They show all this blood in the car. But she got to the hospital. She didn't make it from road rage. And people were waiting to celebrate her anniversary. It's just like, you think like, okay, I done heard it all. You know, but then you turn the news on and then you hear something else.
Well, basically, you're not even safe in your own house if you look at the way they just bust in with no knock warrants, and they come in and shoot you for no reason, like the young lady in Texas that went in the guy's apartment and shot him. And she was a police, and she went in there and said he was at home. He wasn't even doing anything, you know. So.
And the lady here in Chicago, she wasn't even dressed, and she kept asking them, and they wouldn't even tell her for like how long. So here we are again. It's like you need to have some type of substance, your mindset, and that's why I want to talk, which brings us right into this topic on finding your passion, finding your purpose. Reggie, when someone comes to you, because I know you're a mentor and you mentor youth, and when I saw this, I said, oh yeah, I definitely got to talk about this, because a lot of individuals, even myself, me and Reggie go back, way back, like years and years and years. But I do want to let everyone know that today's show is sponsored by no other than Krispy Kreme. Their mission is to make the most awesome donuts on the planet every single day. And I think they've done that. They're very addictive. They have hopefully a location near you. They have one in Hillside, 110 South Manheim Road, one in Homewood, 17815 South Hoster Street, one in Evergreen Park, 9150 Southwestern. And then they have one at Block 37, which is at 108 North State Street. So when someone comes to you, Reggie, and they say, I want to do this, I want to do that, I'm a jack of all trades. I don't know where I want to start. And the saying Confucius, choose a job you love and you never have to work a day in your life. Even though that sounds spot on, he knew what he was talking about. But most people don't know what it is they want to do that will make them happy and that they will be able to be financially secure. What do you think about that when someone comes with that type of question to you?
Well, first thing I asked them is what they want to do, what they like to do, and then I ask them about their skill set. And then the third thing I do is I ask them to write down what they want to do and give me some timelines. Make sure we have achievable goals, short-term goals. So and then I ask them if you like this or you like that. We have to pursue what we have to pursue is, say you want to do something in education, you want to be a teacher. How do you do that? I set up a plan for them, and we sit down and we talk and we make sure that if this is what you want to do, here's your steps. A lot of people like to take shortcuts. They want to go straight from what they want to do straight to what they're doing. Just for instance, I was working with North Lawndale Employment Network. I work with them every Friday for 2 hours. And one of the guys, he said he wanted to start a trucking business. I was like, oh, well, that's nice. And then once I started telling him how to set up his bank account, his business account, how he had to do the taxes, he said, oh, I thought it was much more easier than that. I said, no. I said, you have to put your work in. You have to do your research. And one thing I always tell them, research. A lot of people do not want to do any research to find out things. And one thing I found helpful for myself is that I go back and look how companies get started, what motivated them. Even back to Carnegie, go back to Pole Cereal, go back to all these different places and look how they started, what was their motivation. And you could just take some of those elements and use them in your own life, because a lot of stuff that's going on in life is transferable skills that we
Right.
can transfer from one thing to another, you know.
I like that because, and then people say you have to be passion, make passion your paycheck. To me, a job, something that you literally love to do, it
Mm-hmm.
has to be something that you eat, sleep, talk about. Like I know individuals who say they love to dance and they're studying, art and dance and theater, but would they like to make a living doing it? So I guess the dance could just be a hobby, but would they like to make a living doing this? Like they want to do this every day, eat, sleep, think. I don't know what that noise is. Eat, sleep, every day, do that every day.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to figure out if that does that work for them. I don't know what this noise is. I keep hearing a background noise. I don't know where it's coming from. And so when people say, like for me, I love to talk. So all you gotta do is give me a microphone in a room full of people or put me in front of somebody and I can just talk till I get tired. So that's something I love to do. So if I can make a living doing that, right, and I'm
Right.
okay with that. But I also love to write. I love to write. So that too is knowing what to say or talk about what you're feeling and what's going on. I have no, this is driving me insane. Knowing I don't know what the I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. That noise was just driving me crazy. Um, so my thing was when people said something that they really wanted to have a passion, people get passion confused with income. So they'll go and find something they really want to do, and then they say, "Oh, I'm burnt out. I don't want to do this anymore." But you really have to have a passion for wanting to do that particular job. That means you okay with doing that day in, day out, making a living. You're okay with it, and everybody is not. They say they want to do this, but they just want right now money. Just like you said, nobody wants to put in the long term work. I hear people that say, "I want to start my own radio show. I want to start my own podcast," and then I ask them the same questions, just like you were asking the guy that wanted to go into trucking. So I'm asking them all these questions, and they're saying, "Oh, I'm just gonna get the mic and I just want to talk about anything." But you have to have some type of platform. You have to know what you want to talk in to have a conversation. You can't get in front of a mic and talk. I mean, you can, but you don't want it to be rehearsed, but you want it to sound like you know what you're talking about, and it's something that people really want to hear or make it sound interesting. Right.
Right. That's
So
right.
people don't do that. They just say, I want to do this. I want to get 5 million viewers. I want to get 5 million followers. That doesn't happen overnight. I mean, it may happen on TikTok and somebody get on there and dance and do something outrageous, but then they got
Mhm.
to continue that. That's a one-time thing. You would have to continually, and that's where preparation comes in again. So it's
Mhm.
not something that just happens. So that people have to figure out what it is they want to do. It has to be purposeful and meaningful. It has to be able to generate some form of income, unless you're gonna keep your other job. And then if you're gonna keep your other job, is it gonna be a hobby or is it gonna be something that's gonna turn into a career or entrepreneurship? Because there's a difference between all three of those: a hobby, entrepreneurship, or a career.
Right.
You being a mentor, elaborate on that for me.
Well, the way it's funny you said that. I've worked like 25, 30 jobs during my lifetime. And I was like, man, why am I always working all these jobs? And my friends working on one job for 30 years, they working, they retiring on that. And then one day I was standing in front of 25 young people doing a workforce development program. I was training them for a whole month. Then I was going to be the job coach after we got them jobs for one summer Chicago. And that's when it hit me. I was like, I got all these jobs so I can tell these young people what work look like in different genres. And it was like, well, Mr. Hicks, you ain't had all them jobs. I said, yes, I have. That's how I can tell you. And I told one young lady, I said, there's a job that all you do is just stamp. That's all you do. And she couldn't believe me. So she got a job at City Hall. They put her down in the basement and she couldn't wait to see me because she was stamping. That's all she did. She said, I do this all for 4 to 8 hours. I said, I told you, this is what you got to do. But for me, that showed me that this is where I needed to be because this is why I was learning all those things. This is where my passion came from. This is where all of that came from because it took a while, and sometimes it takes people a while to find their passion. They don't
Yep.
know they have a passion. I know a lot of people who have stuff they do on the side and they're great at it. I said, why don't you make this your business? This is one way you can stop working. And so it goes back to what you were saying. You have to be prepared and know how to go get an LLC, you know how to go do this, know how to go do that, set up your bank accounts. You got to do some business stuff too. You just can't have
That's right.
passion and don't
That's
put the
right.
work in.
That's right. And it's got to be legit. You can't just
Yes.
start a business, don't have no federal employee identification number, don't have this, and you just all out here, and then you want to get grants or funding, and then you don't have a business, you don't have anything, no structure. So you do have to have that, and people think that they don't have to have that, and you do. So what that leads me right into, once you figure out, and some people may take longer for people can figure it out right away. Some people may turn their hobby into a passion or their hobby into entrepreneurship because it's what they enjoy and it doesn't feel like work. And so somebody may figure it out in their first 2 or 3 years. Somebody else may take 10 years. It doesn't matter when you start as long as you start.
Right.
That
Mhm.
that's my biggest thing. And that brings me into the mindset of a morning routine.
Mhm.
Now, I used to have such a crazy morning routine. I don't know who's the worst, mine or Elliot, but just a morning routine. And then I had someone sit down and talk. We were just talking about, our business and entrepreneurship, and the struggle is real when the pandemic first hit, like maybe 3 or 4 months after the pandemic. And then she was like, the fortune is in the follow-up. But before you get to the follow-up, what does your morning look like? Because we were saying together, just talking, that we'll start doing something and we wake up early, but then by 9, 10 o'clock, it's like we ain't got nothing done. We checking emails, we on the phone, we texting. So we doing stuff that's geared toward the business, but there's no structure. And so we challenge each other to I used to make out a list anyway, but what we're gonna do for the week, right? We would do it either on a Saturday or Sunday. And then we would exchange what we were gonna do on Saturday or Sunday by 6 o'clock, so that we can hold each other accountable for that week. Where it got to the point where neither one of us was holding each other accountable. I mean, that's how bad we were. We were still doing it, but we wasn't holding. Our purpose was to hold each other accountable so that we could stay on track. So then in March, we both put up money and made it where we had to make each other accountable. And the person that did it the most, they would win the money, right? So now it's a little different, because now we got that ching on the line. You know how people are about money. So when you just do it, it's one thing, but when you got some money online, you have to look at things a little different. I made a sheet, I done printed it out, I done put it on my board. I mean, I'm like, I got it on the refrigerator, I got it in the bathroom. I'm like, okay, I got to win this. But it helped us to be more conscious of time, because we know time don't wait for nobody. I know you, of all people, know that time doesn't wait for nobody. And so I want to talk about a morning routine, being structured, trying to at least have a to-do list that's not out of the norm or just unattainable. So what I would do, my pet peeve for me actually in the morning is my bed has to be made up. I don't care if I don't go nowhere. If I do go somewhere, I don't want to come back with the bed looking like it was when I first got up. So for me, that's the first thing. I gotta have my coffee, gotta eat something. And so what I'm doing now is meditating or doing some form of exercise before I delve into my day for texts, emails, phone calls, and put a time frame on that, and then move on to something else. I can always come back and revisit it, but put a time frame on it. Talk about your morning routine. What wasn't working for you? What are you doing now, and what's working for you now?
Well, I'm a little bit of the opposite of you. I do all my programming at night before I go to bed. I have all my stuff planned out and what I'm going to do when I get up, because my time starts so early that I have to be up, out, and gone. And so I do all my work the night before. I'm a little bit different. I don't really have a morning routine, because I have a night routine. If I'm sending out my emails, I'm setting stuff up for the morning. I'm making sure everything is already set, because one thing I don't, there's always something that comes up that'll mess up a good plan. God said, you make a plan, and God laughs at it. He's like, you getting ready to do what? And so
like right now, you gonna do that? I don't think so.
Right, I don't think so. And so what I try to do is plan my day at night, and then when I get up in the morning, it's just like if you wear a suit and tie every day, you iron your shirt at night, so when you get up in the morning, you don't have to do that. You could just put on your suit and go. So no matter what time you get up, you're ready and fresh to go. And so that's my routine. I don't drink coffee, and so I don't have to have any coffee in the morning. I don't have to have any breakfast.
You don't have to have no breakfast.
I don't have to have any breakfast. I just go straight to what I'm going to do, and I'm ready for work. So I gear my mind up for that, and I've been doing it for so long. I don't really have a morning ritual, but I do tell people that I talk to about doing exactly what you're talking about, by putting things on the refrigerator, reminding you, giving you subtle reminders. If you're a procrastinator in the morning, you need to either get up earlier, or you need to learn how to manage your morning and do the same thing you did. My granddaughter, she used to procrastinate when she was, I used to take her to after school. So one day she got in the car, I had this sheet of paper on there, and it says procrastination and the definition of it. And I said, that's you. She said, and so last summer, she said, I still remember you gave me that about procrastination. And she doesn't do that anymore.
Oh
She plan
wow.
her days now. She plan her stuff now.
That
And
need to go to
that's,
some adults. We need to do that for some adults. But
yeah,
it's just
and
that
I
the
gave her
morning.
that, once I gave her that definition, she was fine.
But see, morning waits for time waits for nobody. And so
Right.
I took a class after we got together and decided we were going to do. I took a class in time management. But I write everything out that I plan to do
Hmm.
that whole week, really, for the at least for Monday through Friday. I plan it out on Sunday. If I got meetings, if I got appointments, things I got to write, if I got working on a grant, if I got a client, all that wrote out. If I got to take food to my dad, whatever it is I got, if I got to drop water off, I put all of
Hmm.
that on this schedule. And just like you said, something could happen that could mess up that whole schedule.
Hmm.
If somebody else supposed to pick my dad something to eat and he don't get it, he may be mad at me, but he gonna be like, I ain't ate. So whatever I'm doing, I gotta figure out a way to get him some food.
Right.
I've
Right.
asked girlfriends who live, in the city of Chicago, can you drop them off? And I cash app you, so it takes a village. So whatever it is I had to do, I had to get it, I had to get it done. But for
Hmm.
me now, it's so much clearer and it's so much easier. It's just
Hmm.
yesterday, it seems like everything just came full circle now because I'm still closing out from the end of March. I think that had a lot to do with it. People that were struggling with homework, and then I'm back in school. It just was a lot, and just I haven't had one of those days in a very long time. But I'm back. I'm back on track. I'm back okay. I got my to-do list today, and I had 7 things on there, and 4 of them are already done. So it's not even 1 o'clock yet. So I'm good. I'm good. So somebody who don't have a morning routine or schedule or a to-do list, what would be your recommendations for someone like that that's going into entrepreneurship or that's a mentor like yourself or a coach and they're struggling with that? What advice would you give to them if they're listening right now?
Well, I would challenge them, like I said, I would challenge them to do small, obtainable goals, real small goals, something that you can do, like challenge yourself for to make sure you do, say you take a walk once a week from 9 to 10. That's the start. You're building your block. Then you add something on to that as you keep going. Now, after the walk, you go take your shower. You only got 30 minutes for your shower. Now, make normal things a schedule, and then that'll get you on the right track of doing it, because a lot of time people just don't I tell you one thing, you say like going to school, when you get the syllabus, you know exactly what you're going to be doing, what day you're going to be doing, when you're going to be
Oh,
doing
it's
it.
school
You
stuff.
have,
I ain't ready. I keep saying I
and,
ain't
and,
ready.
and,
I'm like on my 3rd month. I'm like, I'm still ain't ready. I'm like,
right, but you look at that
homework.
syllabus, you look at that syllabus and you say, well, I got to be here. And it also makes you good for deadlines,
Yeah.
because now you don't have time to mess around. You can't be talking on the phone. You got to be doing it. And so by going to school, that really helped me out, because I always had a schedule. I always had time. So when I started working in the medical field and we had to meet deadlines, I was good at meeting deadlines because school taught me how to meet deadlines.
And how
So
to be there and get it done.
it got you, and you can't waste around, because you're spending your money. You know,
You're right. You're right.
thousands of dollars,
You
like
right.
you said before. That's the great motivator, is money.
Yeah, it'll
But if you
motivate
want to be
anybody.
successful, you got to have a schedule. And that's what I would advise them, to get a schedule no matter what it is. Plan your day out. When you start planning your day out, your time will start increasing, and you'll start being better. But if you don't stick to it, then you just a wannabe. You don't want to
Yeah.
really put the work
Because
in.
this effort, anything we do in life is going to require something of us.
Right.
It's going to require something of us. We have to do something different. It's going to require of us to step out of our comfort zone. We're going to have to do something different. And if you don't want to do nothing different and you're doing the same thing over and over again and you're frustrated, that's why. Because change is inevitable. You can't get around that. And if you just want to stay stuck, that's okay. But you got to be willing to deal with everything is keeping you in that stuck mode. I talk about this every quarter. We're getting ready to go into the second quarter. You have individuals at the end of the year They upset because they in the same place financially. They don't have any money saved. They talk about how much money they make, and it doesn't matter how much you make. It's how much you save. And people think because they make 100,000 or 250,000, they don't have no money in the bank. So if they get a flat tire, or they have to have work done in emergency, they don't have an emergency fund. But then you have individuals who make under 30,000, can save, can go on a trip because they know how to manage their money. And people think, oh, because I make that much money, I don't see how they're able to do that, because they know how to manage their money. And a lot of people to this day still don't understand that. The power of the mindset is not how much money you make, it's how much you keep. Go ahead, Reggie.
And it's how you utilize it too. Like when I plan a trip, I plan my trip out a year in ahead.
Yep,
I plan it out a year in advance, because I know it's going to take me that long to save up for the type of trip I want, to have money when I go on a trip. So I save up. I do a year and a half. Like right now, I'm thinking about a trip. I'm already rolling on doing that. And what another thing when you was talking about getting people for schedules, one thing they have to do is start thinking further ahead than than today. Right now I'm all the way in August. That's where my mindset is at. I'm thinking all the way in August right now.
I'm in July, so you're right. Because I'm in July right now. Right. I'm in July.
If you don't forward think, because I asked a lot of guys when I'm in at the Safer Foundation, and I'm going over stuff with them. I say, well, you guys, your end date when you're getting out, don't you? I said, is that the farthest you ever thought before? I said, how come you can't use that skill to start setting up your goal plan?
Yeah.
It's the same way you look at that last day you're going to be in here. That's the way you should be looking at your plan. So I try to use those techniques for people who don't have the skill set to do what you're talking about.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't. Believe it or not, Red. A lot of people, they live for right now. They live for the weekend. They live for what's going on right now. They can't even comprehend August. What's gonna happen in August? Like we plan for, like, we gonna go on a trip or go on a cruise or be gone for a week. How y'all able to do that? Well, we saved our money. We didn't just wake up and say we going on this trip. We had to put stuff in motion to save, to plan for that. Take for example Elliot's nephew. I think he's just turned 40 or in his early 40s. He opened up 4 soul food restaurants. And then he opened up 3. And then he opened up 3 when the pandemic hit. And all the restrictions on restaurants, and we was like, how you gonna do this? But he's a pastor and a coach. His mindset was different than what we were thinking. He was thinking, I still gotta eat. I need to get sick to do a franchise. And that was his goal. It didn't matter how he did it. He just had to attain that goal. His goal was 6 restaurants to get a franchise. And his thing was by any means necessary. That's how he felt. And he opened up 6.
That's great. That's great.
And opened up another one. And so and then some people who have been in restaurant business or business longer that were struggling, they were going to him for advice, because they were like, how are you able to do this and still thrive and strive in a pandemic? How are you able to do this? But the mindset is a beast.
And he
this right here on, turn it on. The sky is not the limit.
And what he did is research. That's what he did. He did his research, and he changed because the climate changed when he started. So he figured, well, I'm gonna start mine off probably by just takeout.
That's what he did.
And I'm not worried about it. I have the low overhead. I don't have to worry about the staff right now. I could just have minimum staff, get our great food, and then people will just come and get it. And then when we reopen, so he just flipped the script, but he had the mindset to think about. I don't even know him, but I bet you that's.
And I'm looking at you because I'm like, wait a minute, how you know? Because that's what he did. He did his research, but what he did was he had 2 restaurants that were sit-down restaurants.
Right.
And the next 3 were express. Soul Food Express. So he had like the bench that go all the way around, right? Where you could stand up and eat. He had like 4 high chairs. And you just place your order, come in and get them. And then the first 2 restaurants, he didn't even have this, but then it came to, like you said, research. He saw that other restaurants had Grubhub, Uber Eats, Postmates, and DoorDash. He wasn't really keen at first, but then he, like you said, research is key, just like location is key. So what he did was he did it on a trial basis. He brought all them in. Somebody, one company, I don't know which one, let's say Grubhub pay on the first, let's say Uber Eats pay on the 15th, let's say the second one pay on the 20th, so the fourth one pay on the 20th. So now, if you know, 4 times a month, you got these coming in, right? Then you still got people calling in, you got people walking in, and you got people catering, right? That's like 8 or 9 streams of income in one location. Then you had the tablets in partnership with all the locations for Grubhub, Uber Eats, Postmates, and DoorDash. Quadruple his income. And not one location, but all the locations. And then the downtown, he had one downtown. Well, he still have it downtown in the state of Illinois building. They closed that building. They got to figure out how to handle the people coming in and out with the masks. So that's the only one that's not open and up and running. But then he opened up one in Atlanta, and then one on Chicago Avenue in Pulaski. So when I say to you, research, location, mindset.
And you know what? And sometimes I had one guy was telling me, man, all you talk about is history. All you talk about history. I said, okay. I said, but it's things that's going on now that you don't even know we've done this before. Just like delivering food to your home. That was done in the 50s and 60s. You know, remember they used to put the milk on the porch? You used to get out there, go get the milk off the porch. But now they're sending food to your house. You know, they used to come pick up your diapers. They used to come pick up all that. It's the same thing. But if you don't know history, you think this is brand new. You know, so that's why I tell a lot of people, if you find somebody that you're passionate about and watching, and you want to do what they're doing, like you want to be the next Buffy, you got to research them to find out what they did.
Yeah.
You know, because the template has already been laid. Now you can improve it,
but you got to know the steps.
The template is already laid. But if you don't know it's already been laid, sometimes sometimes people confuse activity with accomplishment. You know, you can do a whole bunch of stuff, but you ain't accomplished nothing.
Yeah. Or you can make a quick 100,000, but how you gonna flip that into another 100,000?
Right.
Because stuff can happen right now. And like, you know, the mask was a big thing. People were making millions of dollars on masks. People were making $1 million on Lysol. They was buying Lysol wholesale, filling up their trucks and then selling it for double. They were buying hand sanitizer. They were buying the gloves. All this stuff was part of what we needed for a pandemic. So when it first, paper towels, toilet tissue, that was hard to find when the pandemic first hit. But people whose mindset was on it, they was like, well, let me go run a U-Haul and load up and sell it. Let me learn how to make these masks. Let me go to Minnesota Fabrics and Michael's and Joann's and load up on all the stuff I need to make masks. Let me get material. So while a lot of people were like, oh my God, how are we going to survive? Somebody else was like, okay, it's time for me to come up on this. And so that's where when you say research, they was like, okay, if I go buy these from here, I got to see who got the most here, who got the most economical price, who can rent me a truck. They didn't just pick up the phone and just call. They right back to your research and location. So where you going to unload this stuff at? So all of this is good. So I'm telling y'all, if y'all listening, share this broadcast. You need a mentor, coach. You got Reggie right here. You got me right here. I'm telling you, it's a numbers game, but you have to know what you're doing. So we're going to take a pause. We're going to come right back. We're going to do our final conversation on you're growing. Whether you're in business, your relationship, your friendship, or your family, but the people in your life are not. How do you handle that? You're tuned into intellectualradio.com or Making Waves with Miss Darcy. With I can't even describe it. Reggie Hicks, he my big brother. He put up with me, y'all. He's a school-based mentor. He's an after-school site director. He's a work in the workforce development trainee. And then his passion is the organization Fathers, Families, and Healthy Communities, ffhc.org. If you don't know about it, you know today. So look into it, see how you can be a part. He's going to talk about that when we come back. We'll be back in a moment.
I was Danielle. I was trying to get some sleep yesterday. And Danielle had Marvin, the Isley Brothers versus Earth, Wind, and Fire. I said I ain't getting no sleep.
Oh wow! Oh, who won?
They didn't say who won, but it was great. It was great. You ought to see it. It's good.
Have to check it out. Boy, y'all, I love this music. An artist sent this to me and I love it. We are back live, intellectualradio.com, Making Waves with Darcy. We're going to do a recap, but before we even get to that, I just want to, first of all, thank my big brother for embracing me on his platform. He has such a busy, hectic schedule, and I do appreciate his knowledge and his wisdom on the show today. So the next thing and the final thing that we're going to discuss today is a person who's working on themselves, right? Self-care, self-fulfillment, and they are growing. They have changed their mindset to get better at being better every single day, but the people they're surrounded by are not. So before I even go to my little 4 things that I want to throw in, my little nuggets, let's hear from Coach Hicks. So you have this scenario where you're growing and you're working on yourself at getting better at being better, but the people you're surrounded by, whether it's family, friends, business partner, neighbors, they're not. How do you deal with that?
Well, it's easy. I'm from Inglewood, and all the time when I was going to school, my friends, a lot of them wasn't going to school, and but I love them dearly. You know, we're still friends today, but I always have to do what I have to do. So how I dealt with it is that, you know, I met them where they were at. I never like humiliated them or did anything of that nature. We just was friends on a different level. And like now I got friends that are with PhDs and all that. And so, and you know, CEOs and that, they're my friends. So I just had to put them, I had to segment them. You know, I have to put them where they were at, and but always be there for them, always be a part of. Because even in relationships, people grow apart. You know, one spouse might be thinking about doing this, and the other spouse not supporting them, but they steady growing and growing and growing, and they stagnant. You know, so there's a great thing about this. We use in our workforce development because it's called "Move Who Moved My Cheese." If you ever get a chance to see that, check it out. It's about who moved my cheese. And you
And
can
now
get it on
that's
YouTube. It's on YouTube. So you can
okay.
go and look. It's about 15, 20 minutes, and they talk about stagnation, how people grow and don't go outside their comfort zone and just want to be comfort with what they are and have all the abilities to be the best and to be the best person, but they're so comfortable,
Where
you
they
know,
are.
do have to leave them where they at in order for you to continue your journey. So I just try to treat people with respect, and I understand where they at, and then do I try to coach them up if I can. I try to mentor them. Where,
oh yeah.
right. If they're not coachable, I'll leave them where they at. And, it pains me that they stay there, even family members, that you hate to leave behind. But, they're like, man, why are you doing all this? How are you doing that? I'll say, well, it was on me. I had to do what I have to do. So if you want to do it, you have to do the same thing. If you don't get up and put your shoes on and go out here and do your investigative work, then there's nothing going to happen for you.
You're right.
So you have to leave some people. You just have to leave them right where
you have to, and that don't mean you don't love them less. You just have to leave them where they are. And what I have is a couple of things. The first thing was, don't try to change a person.
Right.
You have to understand that we can't pressure them. It's not going to happen. Leave, like you just said, leave them where they are. You can offer some stuff, or you can give them some tips, or try to include them on the things that you're doing. But if you go in trying to tell them they should be doing this and they should be doing that, it's going to backfire. Nobody wants to be told what to do, and we can't change anyone else. And then the other thing is, lead by example. So if we can influence them by what we're doing, maybe they'll take an interest in seeing what we're doing and that we're growing, right? Mm-hmm. And so sometimes when you have friends and families and they see that, oh, my other phone, they see that you're growing. I thought I had turned this phone off. They see that you're growing and they want to be a part of what you're doing. They say, oh, well, show me how to do this, or how can I learn how to do this? And so that was no pressure. They just saw what you were doing and they took an interest in what you were doing. So we can open ourselves up and just, if we're studying, we can have a book in the room where they are. We don't have to go reading it, right? Mm-hmm. But they can say, what are you doing? You said, I didn't know that, and people will take an interest. I know a lot of times Elliot is doing stuff, or he's creating stuff, or drawing stuff, or making stuff. I may go out there and say, what is you doing? And then it's either going to interest me or it's not. But the fact that he's doing it, I try to offer my support. And vice versa. So we might not necessarily want to tell somebody what to do, but we can influence them by them watching what we're doing, or share what we're learning, or share them what we're learning. We can introduce things to our community to get other people involved. We can have a bucket list. There are so many things. We could be that person's cheerleader. We may not like what they're doing, but we could be their cheerleader to support them in what they're doing, even though it may not be something that we want to
do. When I first moved over here, where I live at now, before I go to work, I used to get garbage bag and go out in the front yard, pick up all the garbage on the block. And then when I cut my grass, I cut everybody's grass because I see everybody was not cutting their grass. I did that for almost 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And then after a while, certain people start cutting their own grass. Certain people start picking up their own stuff. Certain people did. Now I found myself just cleaning up my area, and everybody else was taking care of their own.
But you took an initiative, and then people they saw what you were doing, and they follow suit, because you want to keep your property value up, and you want to keep your neighborhood up to par. And that's another thing too. People could be going through things. We may have to be empathetic. We don't know. We may have to put ourselves in their shoes. We don't know what they're dealing with. It may be hard for them. Maybe they went through something in their childhood, or maybe something happened in their family. We just don't know. And people react differently to death, to mental illness is real. People react to depression, and we might not know. Maybe they're showing us signs and we just don't see it. I'm learning more about mental illness now than I've ever learned. And it probably was happening before, but I just didn't know that's what it was. Or depression.
Yeah, you have a lot of that. That's and just about everybody got it in their family too. You can have a successful person doing a lot, and then they'll come and tell you they suffer from depression. They're depressed now.
Just because they're not crying and screaming and throwing things don't mean that they're not depressed. So
right.
Because everybody handles it differently.
If you look at, you could go in any emergency room in Chicago or in any suburb, and you're going to find at least 2 to 3 persons that have mental illness in that facility. You're going to find.
I have witnessed that. I have went in for a migraine, or not feeling well, and the people in the ER, in the waiting room,
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, wow.
Yes. Yes.
So, and all we have to do is keep living. We're going to see more of it if
Mm-hmm.
they continue to cut these programs. But that's where us getting better at being better come in, because we may have to lend a hand somewhere along the line. And so
Mm-hmm.
we can't be mean to people or treat people selfishly, or be critical of people, because we don't know what they're going through. It could be somebody just lost someone, or someone's dying, and you be mean to them. A simple hello, good morning, have a nice day, hold the door open, let somebody on the expressway. It doesn't hurt anybody. But snapping at somebody or getting smart with somebody, they might be right on the edge because something
Mm-hmm.
happened to them. They might have been getting ready to be evicted or put out, or maybe they lost someone, or maybe someone jumped on them. We don't know. But all we can do is be kind. And it doesn't cost anything to display or show kindness. And so I'm seeing more of that in the pandemic than I've ever seen. But we just have to be better when it comes to dealing with individuals. We cannot just assume that this person is okay, because we don't know that.
And when you talk about leaving people where they at, that's how some kids get left where they're at, because they have a mental problem at a young age, and people don't recognize it, so they leave them and go on. But instead of helping them to be better, they don't. In the school systems, you have a lot of mentally ill parents raising children. We don't talk about that a lot. We talk about the reaction of the children, but you got to remember what household they in.
Came
You
out
know,
of. Yeah.
and,
We
and
don't
if
know
you
what they went through. And if you think about it, think about this, Reggie. When we were growing up, whatever happens in your house, stay in your house.
right.
So some people were dealing with stuff they didn't held, where it could be molestation, it could be physical or domestic abuse, and
Mm-hmm.
it's they think it's the norm because it was in their house, it was allowed. You got sisters and brothers dating, having it was so much allowed back in the day because it stayed in your house. And a lot of individuals was told, oh, you don't go to physical, you don't go to therapy. You don't do that because people gonna label you as crazy. There's nothing wrong with going to therapy. But it's all about how you were raised in that mindset, and it shapes you. You can change, but you have to know that there are resources out there to receive help. A lot of people don't know. You can't get better at being better unless you know. When you know better, you do better. But a lot of people don't know that you can go and talk to someone and not be labeled crazy because you just got so much going on. You just need to talk to someone without being judged. And they have people that can do that. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. Everybody handles things differently.
Mm-hmm. And it, working with the public, you'll find that out very quickly. And I can look at you and tell this is something you're schizophrenic or whatever, because I've been doing this for so long. But I can look and tell. And then I start thinking about back. I had a neighbor that lived next door to me, and he would say, "I'm sending rays over to him." And he told me he gonna get a gun and he gonna shoot till his arm get tired. And so I called the police. And
I know you did.
man, he had a bunch of guns. But if you talk to him, you'll think he was okay. But he was a Vietnam veteran, had a whole bunch of issues, and but he wasn't good. My uncle was the same way. He ended up committing suicide. So you gotta know about suicide and things of that nature, and that goes back to what you're saying. When you leave people where they at, because they're there, and sometimes we leave them at the wrong time too.
That's
So
what
we
I
have to
can right say. Timing is everything, and it's not always good to leave them. Even when in the pandemic, Reggie, there's going
right.
to be a lot of young people in school that are going to be left behind because of this pandemic.
Hmm. But you know what? I'm finding out doing. I think I said this last time I was on your show. But I'm finding out this is school model needs to be this way, whether you want the kids to come to school or the ones to work at home. Because I'm finding some kids that was having trouble at school trying to socialize are now better students because they don't have all that distraction.
Yep.
They are
Yep.
getting A's and B's. They're not going to get in trouble because they're not sociable people.
Right.
And we forced them to assimilate into being social when they don't want to be
They
social.
don't want it. Yes.
So
A
I
lot of
think
people are, a lot of children are doing better at home because they
exactly.
like all of they, they in their own space, right? They got their own tablet or laptop, they can get their own food, they're in a comfortable environment, they don't have to worry about the mask or any of that, right? But then you have individuals who may be at home, but they may not have no food. They may not have the internet. And maybe it's a whole lot of stuff going on there and they can't focus. They need to be in school. They need to get free breakfast and lunch because they
Right,
don't have it at home. So
right.
they have to figure out, you have to have some type of balance. And I just worry about the ones who don't have breakfast and left at home,
Mm.
right? So they're struggling. And then the ones who are functioning better at home. And now April 17th, they putting the kids, most kids back, the high school is back in school, I think April 17th. So it's like, do they do an evaluation? Do they do some sort of project testing, or they just, but see, I know schools, in which I just learned last year, when they open that door and they take attendance, those are dollars
Yes. Yeah.
classroom, and I did not know that. So
Yeah.
no, so I want to know if that's the reason they're pushing for the schools to be back open, or are they pushing for me back open for these kids to get an actual education?
It's both because when I was in high school, it was $75 a student. So when and I went to a predominantly white high school, and we decided before we check in for our division, we wasn't going to go there. We was going to go home. And so about 300 of us left, and they lost money that day.
Wow.
They they hated that. They hated. We knew that.
See.
Because we were going through some racial things, so they hated that we knew, and then and how we did it. We just walked out and we walked in groves down through the neighborhood to let
Wow.
them know we was displeased with them, and so that's why I say that the schools have to do it because, and we also have to do it too when we dealing with individuals, and if your mate is growing away from you, what do? Do you get a divorce? Sometimes you get a divorce, and sometimes you can't bring somebody up that's holding you back.
That's right. That's
You
true.
know, sometimes you just got to cut them loose.
That's right. And you have, and only that person know, because that person is living it. You can't go tell somebody, oh, you can't do this and you can't, because you're not walking in their shoes. You're not living in their shoes. And so a lot of times we have to offer our advice, but then we have to step back because that person has to live that life. We're not living that life. But I do want to just, all the subjects we talked about today is after one. So we're gonna cut the show. But I do want to just recap. We talked about finding your purpose and your passion. What one piece of advice you want to give for them for that, if someone is looking to find out what their passion and purpose is in life, Reggie?
Do your research. If it's something that you really want to do, history is not bad. Learn the history of your of what you want to do, because once you, like I said, you can fine tune it and you can make it into somebody be reading about you in 5, 10 years. So if you really wants to be successful, do your research. Make sure that you have a plan. Make sure that you write it down. Make sure that you have short, attainable goals. Start off with what I'm going to do in the first 3 months. Get that goal, then go to the next goal, then go to the next goal. So if you follow those tools, put them in your belt, and you'll be great. You'll be a success.
Next thing we talked about is your mindset for that morning routine. What piece of advice individuals who are struggling with a morning routine?
I would suggest what you was talking about, putting the stickies up, making sure you have a routine, making sure you. But I also want you to think about it the day before, night before, because that's going to get you going. If you do that with your stuff already there, it's going to be easy for you to obtain what you want to be. But it starts the day before. It doesn't start that morning. It's got to start the day before. And then in the morning, you're implementing it.
Exactly. And then last but not least, you're growing, you're working on yourself, you're bettering yourself, but your partner, your friend, your business partner, your children, or the people, your network is at a standstill. What do you do?
Well, you keep moving, and but you do it with respect and dignity because you don't want to hurt people feelings or anything like that. But you have to keep moving. You got to be perpetual motion. You have to keep going. You got to make sure you know what you're doing, and then like you said earlier, you can lead by example. Sometimes you don't have to say nothing. You just do it, and then maybe they'll catch on.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Big Brother, for embracing my platform today. I so appreciate you. Great information, great nuggets. Please share the broadcast. We're going to try to get him. I know he has a busy schedule, but we're going to try to get him in here on Making Waves with Miss Darcy once a month to talk about entrepreneurship and mentoring. We're going to try to get him once a month. I know that's a hard struggle, but we're going to try. You see, I'm throwing it out in the universe. So that hopefully next month he'll have a topic for us once a month. I'm throwing it out there in the universe. Reggie Hicks, once a month.
I'm in the universe. I'm in the universe. I got it. Plus we got these things called phones.
I think you got it. I think you got it. But thank you again. I don't want to keep you from the next appointment. Please share the broadcast. This is the wheel, you guys. You'll be spinning this. We'll be spinning this wheel for prizes. Gonna have some producer come from behind the desk and spin, but we're out of time. So what we can spin is you can win a gift card, you can win a free commercial ad, you can win $2, $25, $10, $5. And we're gonna have to add one to say next time. We got to include that on here somewhere. So we will start this next Tuesday. So make sure you tune in to Spin to Win on Making Waves with Miss Darcy on Intellectual Radio on .com, which is an iHeart radio station. Please be careful. Please wear your mask. Don't let anyone talk you into getting the vaccine. If you want to get the vaccine and you think it's best for you and your household, then by all means get it. But still wear your mask. Still practice social distances and continue to please wash your hands. If you go into a store, if you're paying with a credit card, you're paying with cash, have some type of wipes or something in your car, hand sanitizer to wipe your hands. If you're eating, make sure you're constantly wiping your hands. Sometimes we get stagnant and forget, but this virus is still out here. They have new levels of this virus. So we really have to be careful. It's warm today, almost 80 degrees. Please be careful out here. Please, please, please be careful. I can't even stress it enough. Again, thank you, Reggie Hicks, for embracing our platform. Super producer behind the scenes, Making Waves with Miss Darcy. Until next time, build your own dreams, or someone else will hire you to build theirs. And that could be me or Coach Hicks. And we're out. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
See you later.
See you later. Get this music to take us out. I love this music. Who will be the next winner? Spin to win. Nice. Who will be next?
Nice try. Don't forget to put nice try on there. You will.